Hi, welcome back. Today we're just going to review what we did the past 2 days with rounding and solving. So you're going to be able to round and solve an equation. I forgot to write that in there, but you're going to be able to round and solve equations. So the first page is really all I'm going to hit on because the rest of the stuff you're going to work on in class or for homework. So it says Mrs. Slover worked through the following problem. Mr. Slover determined that she made a mistake. Wah, wah. We got to circle where the mistake was, explain what she did wrong, and then rework the problem. Okay, so there's a lot going on there. Circle where the mistake was. So right away, I am telling you that x is not 1.625. That is not the answer. I do not write correct. Something is wrong. So let's check to see what we got. 8x minus 32 equals 45. Okay, so when I'm looking at this, so far, everything is good because this is what I was starting with. It says, as she showed her work, that she's going to subtract 32 from both sides. So wait a minute. It already says 8x minus 32. Well, if I want to solve for x and I want to get the 8x term by itself, the opposite operation of subtraction is not subtraction. So I should be adding 32 to both sides. So it should be 8x minus 32 equals 45. I should be adding 32 to both sides. Okay, when I add 32 to both sides, that's going to change all of this down here. And so that means from there, you're going to have to rework the problem. So that's where her mistake was, right here. She should not be subtracting 32. She should be adding 32 to both sides. So add 32 and then rework the problem. Example 2. Mr. Smith solved the following equation and got x equals 32.5. Is he correct? State and show, two different ways to check to see if he got the correct answer. Well, remember from day 1 where we did some substitution. Do we remember? We could take x as 32.5 and substitute, plug it in, where we see an x value. So way 1 could be through substitution. We could do 4 times 32.5 plus 4 and see if it equals 130. If it does, you did it right. If it doesn't, you did not do it right. So that's way 1. We can check it by substitution. The other way is what we did yesterday, solving. So I've got a 2-step equation. I could just solve for x and see if I get 32.5. So it says 4x plus 4 equals 130. I got to get the x term by itself, so I got to get rid of this positive 4. I'm adding 4, so I want to subtract 4 from both sides first. Then from there, keep solving and see if x equals 32.5. If it does, then Mr. Smith did it right. And then example 3 says circle which answers were rounded correctly. So it says 8.99 to the nearest tenth equals 8.9. So nearest tenth, I remember, is 1 decimal place. Well, there is 1 decimal place, but the question is, was it rounded correctly? So 8.99. So the first, right here where my cursor is, that 9, that first 9 is my tenths. So I look to the number next to it, which is also a 9. Well, that's 5 or higher, so that means I got to round up. So this 9, where my cursor is, becomes a 10. Well, that carries over here, so this was not rounded correctly. This should have been 9.0. So I'm not going to circle letter A. Letter B, I'm rounding this to the nearest hundredth. All right, hundredth, that's 2 decimal places. So where my cursor is right above it, there's 2 decimal places. That means I'm looking at the 3 to tell me if I have to round up or whether it stays. Well, the 3 is less than 5, so it's going to stay. So 63 0.12. I would agree that is correct. It was rounded correctly. I'm going to circle letter B. And that's what you do for C and D and E. The rest is just practice. So go ahead and complete that and turn it in when you get it done. As always, if you have questions, please let me know.